It seems like everyone is talking about Deltarune.
And Toby Fox has said a little bit more about the title.
What do we think about what he said?
Hot take.
Just be forewarned, we're shooting this episode in front of a live studio audience, which we've never done before. And they are going to clap to prove they're there.
That is more enthusiasm than is necessary for this show.
Now, folks, let's get into this.
Yes.
Right now, everyone is talking about this game because it is a big deal. If you are not aware of what Deltarune is, basically there's a creator out there named Toby Fox. Mm-hmm. You may have heard of the last game he made, which was...
Undertale, of course.
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
Yep.
This is probably one of the biggest indie games to ever be released since, I'd say, Minecraft, honestly.
Yeah, probably. It exploded a few years ago, and a lot of people were wondering what's next on the docket for Toby Fox. So, yeah, he released the Deltarune demo just this week, and it was free. It was put online, and just recently, after a 24-hour a quiet period,
which we wanted to stay to, right? Because if the creator tells you, please don't talk about it for 24 hours. It's kind of important not to, right?
So after that time span, Toby Fox released a long tweet. A tweet long.
Yeah.
He wanted
tweet longer.
Yes, he wanted to say a little bit more about the title and sort of the plans for the future because folks were wondering what's going on with this game. Deltarune, is it near completion? And they wanted to hear about what the creator had to say.
And, well, he had a lot of things to say, including some stuff that was actually a little bit surprising.
Yeah.
So this is a demo.
Yes.
This isn't a prequel or a sequel to Undertale. This is kind of its own thing that takes place in a similar world with similar characters.
Yeah, his messaging was that don't expect this to be connected to Undertale, which is weird because if you did play the Deltarune demo,
which Adam, you completely completed.
I completed, and I'm not so into the lore. So if you're expecting me to dig into all of the all the stuff inside and outside of Undertale, I'm not going to be digging too much into that. But many of the characters and many of the stylistic choices of Deltarune very much mirrored what we had seen in Undertale.
Yeah. Now, personally, I didn't actually get to play the demo. I was really busy, but I did see Adam play it a heck of a lot, and a lot of the visual cues really did seem very similar to what you would have seen in Undertale.
Yep.
And there was also some characters I saw which were clearly from Undertale.
Yeah,
right?
We don't want to spoil anything per se. We're not here to talk about that necessarily. Yeah. Today we wanted to talk a little bit about what Toby Fox had to say after Deltarune had been released and after that 24-hour period, and kind of talk about what we should be expecting from the production of this title.
Yeah, so... don't expect much. What you saw here was a demo, and Toby Fox, to what he has told us, apparently doesn't have anything outside of, I believe, the story written for the next portions of the game.
He basically said, hey, the demo's out, it's great, it may not, the demo that you played may look nothing like the final product. He said that he's finished the story for the game and some of the music as well. Yeah. But other than that, he said, consider this like the place that they're at with the creation of Deltarune. This is 0%. 0%.
Yeah. So one thing to keep in mind is that Toby Fox basically makes these games by himself with the help of another person.
Temi, I believe. Temi Chang, who does a lot of the art. She did a lot of the art within Undertale. Her thumbprints on there.
I think a lot of people may know one of the characters in the game is kind of based around her and stuff. There's stuff there, right? So there is some cool aspects there of that kind of bridge connection between these two people making this game. But Toby Fox, most would argue, is the driving force of the creative force of this game.
Of course.
So it sounds like, according to what he wrote, that if he were to just work on this game by himself, it would likely take something crazy like 7 years.
Well, he said that he would be willing to put 7 years into this game. That would be his cutoff period. But he said that the amount of work that needs to go into this would extend even beyond that.
Yeah.
He said that if it was just him, it could be like, I don't know, if he had a small group of people, it could take... it could take 7 years. It could take 999 years. So basically, his post after the demo was released was stating, we need to get people together if we want to make Deltarune, the vision that I have for this game.
Now, this is a concern that I have. I'm actually a little bit nervous about this because I thought Undertale was a pretty neat game, and I really want to see what the next game was that he would make. So it's cool to see that he is actually making another game. Adam and I talked about this, and Adam told me right away, does he have to make another game?
No. So, well, if you pay attention to games in the slightest, you'll know that Undertale, it's more than just a simple indie game that came out. It became a franchise overnight, and Undertale, you could put it on anything and it would sell. Like, Undertale's become so much more than the project that it was at launch.
And what Toby was talking about in his message to everybody was essentially a little bit of nervousness and hesitation because he doesn't feel personally that he can match what Undertale did, which I don't think is fair. I think he's creative enough that he can, and clearly everyone's been so invested in this demo that it kind of proves that, you can recreate that, and you have been.
The thing is, Toby has stated that this demo that came out, it's a couple of hours long. It's great. It's really cool. I like a lot of the mechanics within it. This took about 3 years to make. This demo.
Just a demo.
This 2-hour demo. And it's just a small chunk of what he wants this game to be.
And I think that is where some fans and followers of Toby may actually be a little bit nervous about stuff. So here's the problem that's at hand. He says he wants to work with people, but he hasn't reached out to anyone. He hasn't been contacted. This is still...
He's basically said, don't call me, I'll call you.
Yeah. Now, this may be worrisome because, look, in the past, when we've gotten demos for games, typically the game wasn't that much farther out. This isn't always the case, but there are certain creators out there that have examples of making video games where they've continued to just roll on the demo and try to expand things from there, and they get stuck. If a game is to take about almost like 7 years, that's almost a decade. If a game takes that long to make, the creator's vision will change and warp over time just because they evolve as humans, right? And something that's kind of nervous is you brought this up, and I didn't think about it until you brought it up, but Duke Nukem Forever.
Right. Yeah. So we don't know the time span. We don't know that it's going to be 7 years, but it does sound like it's going to take a long time.
Yeah, especially if it's coming from 0% at this point.
Right. So the time span can be a worry, right? Visions change. And of course, work changes over several years. But also, Toby Fox is talking about bringing on several other people into a team. He's never led a team before. He's a little bit worried about that. And when you bring on other minds, of course, you're going to have different ideas that are bubbling up and different changes that happen. So, yeah, very much what we've seen with Deltarune could be drastically different by the end of this.
Something that's interesting to me that we never really get to see with a lot of developers is sometimes developers take their processes and don't really like to share that with them.
Yeah, they hide them away.
But Toby's wearing his heart on his sleeve and explaining everything that he feels a little nervous about and things that he's really proud of.
I've actually listed a few of the things just really quickly. So he, on the post that we'd spoken about, he said that some of the difficulties that he's facing with creating this game is that the graphics are more complicated this time. The battle system...
Visually, they definitely are.
Yeah, basically a lot of these things are complexities across the board as far as things that he was implementing in Undertale 1. So graphics, the battle system, the overworld is more complicated with more characters. The town, I guess, had to be created or has to be created in a certain way so that the vision can round out in a specific way. He's being very vague about exactly what that means. And also personal issues had come up. He's talking about trouble with concentration, with dealing with other tasks. He's still doing some things with Undertale as well. There's still port work. There's language translations and things. There's so many different plates that he has to spin at the same time, and dealing with creating a whole new game is it's a lot of hard work.
So here's my question to you, Adam.
Yeah.
Do you think it's fair that a demo is released of a game that at this moment doesn't have a solid foundation for the next step? Do you think getting people excited about something that potentially may not come out? We've all been in the situation where we watched a television show or a movie that was supposed to have a sequel or a continuing franchise and it just didn't happen. Whether it be a comic, anything like that, even games.
What Toby Fox had said was that he's been dwelling on the ideas behind this game for so long that he wants to get something out there for people. He said I'm not going to directly quote him, but he basically said, if I didn't get this out, I would go crazy. It's like he he had to do this. So I don't think that he's thinking about necessarily whether or not this was the right move for the future game. He just feels like this is right. I have to get this out there. Whether or not it's going to be problematic in the future, there's so many questions that are still up in the air, because usually when we talk about video games being developed, we talk about a totally different sort of set for a team. We talk about big companies. We're talking about right now one man, possibly with with Temmie working on this title. So it's so difficult to forecast that.
Yeah,
what's your opinion?
I'm kind of nervous about this. At the same time, I think that you're hearing doubt in what Toby's saying, but I honestly believe that he has the ability to actually take on a team and work with them, because the things that would be very taxing, whether it be coding the game.
Right. We talked about some of the complications.
Yeah, right. Like if you were to, he could actually hire someone to code the game. He could hire somebody to help with art assets and stuff like that. You may not know this, Adam actually is an animator, trained.
Yes.
And Adam, if you were to work with a team to do animations and stuff like that, what is the thing that you create to tell that team what style to stick to?
Yeah, well, just going back to some of the creations that I've made in the past, I know that it's just so incredibly difficult to maintain the feeling that you want throughout, and that's one of the things that I think Toby might struggle with. So maybe even though they can get the art assets out, maybe there's a general feeling, a tone that he's going for. And Undertale was very much, I think a lot of people had an emotional attachment to that. I think the one thing that he wants to maintain, and I know the one thing that I always wanted to maintain, was a feeling that was driven through the content.
At the same point, folks, if you've been watching Rerez for a very long time, if you're watching this channel right now, this channel would not exist if it wasn't for a group of people working together to make it happen. It's not just me, it's not just Adam.
And you got to find people that are just as passionate about what you do.
And everything I've experienced being a creator on YouTube, whether working on any kind of project, I've always felt that working with a lot of people, more people to make one project work, it makes it a better project, whether it be the visual style, the story, the narrative, whether it be just covering products. Everything that we do, I felt, has since improved since I started working with a group of people. And I really feel that if Toby were to do the same thing, kind of find this dream team of folks that want to work with him. And I think what's important here is not to get obsessive, addictive fans who just love the game to work on it. It's got to be people that have a creative vision that they want to share in turn, right?
Yes.
Because if you're just going to get people that are going to mimic exactly what Toby wants to create, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you're not going to get a wider breadth of understanding, a larger world to say.
So maybe you're saying people that bring other ideas or other sort of styles to the table could not be problematic necessarily, but it could be beneficial as well, which I guess
adds to the flavor of the game.
It is a positive and a negative, sure.
Like right now I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2. At some point I will do a much longer conversation about it, but it is a very long game, and the tiny little details that are just dipped out throughout the entire game, you can tell that different people had worked on different things, and it adds to this huge tapestry, this huge colorful picture of this gigantic world. And I really feel that you can't do that one person. You really need a lot of people to build
something
that.
like Red Dead. And it just boils down to finding those right people. So Toby says he's nervous about finding a team and possibly heading this team, but yes, he just has to nitpick exactly the people that he thinks are correct for the different aspects of this.
So you're probably not going to be seeing this game like next year, maybe not the year after that.
Yeah, I'm guessing a couple of years. I don't think 7 years.
I don't think 7 years.
7 years was brought up in the post, but that was him talking about sort of his
hyperbolic,
own,
just
his own personal ceiling for how long he wanted to work on this game.
I'm pretty sure you're going to see something on this. I think it's going to be a pretty big deal. He did mention it's going to be sold as a package. It's not going to be sold piecemeal or anything like that.
No, all parts are going to be released at the exact same time.
Yeah, so I don't know how long we're going to have to wait, but definitely something to look forward to. So keep your eye on his Twitter account and see what he says, because he's just going to keep being public and talking about these things, I imagine, as time goes on.
Yeah.
But folks, what do you think? Are you really excited for this game? Do you think Deltarune is going to be this amazing expansion?
Yeah, is it going to explode like Undertale did?
Yeah, or is it going to be something that's just going to be a little fans kind of feel on stuff?
What do you think, studio audience? Boo. We got one boo and one yay. Somewhere in the middle of the road, apparently.
Let us know what you think in the comments below.